Absolutely. Well, we're going to be talking now about this matchup. Lower bracket games. Cloud9 versus Movistar Riders. Loser goes home. It's a best of 5.
It
a
is.
lot on the line for these two teams.
Yeah, we've got to the grueling stage of the bracket, right? We had a different format for the groups. We had this 4-stage.
Look at this. There's the groups.
4-map stage.
Yeah.
And then we had a lot of best of 3s yesterday. And how do you feel the games went yesterday in terms of what you were expecting, Reinforce?
I think most games, actually, yeah, all games went as expected. I think that Cloud9 could have... I mean, Cloud9 played very close on Oasis versus Rogue, so he probably could have taken a map, but on Numbani it wasn't even close. But otherwise, I think it was turned out as expected, I think.
What about that Riders a United game as well in the upper bracket?
Yeah, it's very hard to say because Riders and United, they play so different. So I really had no idea. I had no insider info going into that matchup, knowing how it would turn out. But it's really interesting to see how Riders perform versus the likes of United, just because they play kind of unique. They play more passive dive in that regard. So.
That's interesting as well, because I think most people, when they're looking at it from an outside perspective, having not experienced it in the role of a player, don't quite experience the differences between dive. You know, people categorize it as dive or triple DPS, but teams have a different grasp on how they want to play that style.
It's the play style. Right.
Can you talk to us a little bit about how that actually differs between the teams?
Well, I mean, the basic, basically you can just make it into 2 styles. Either you go full on aggressive and you just dive the back line of the like Killes and Yaras, Killeanas, basically, right? Or you can be as Riders, who's a bit more, let's force our enemy to dive us and let's abuse their positioning mistakes to our advantage and kill them off, you know? So it's more about protecting your own backline. And when those 2 styles go against each other, it's very hard to judge which will turn out in favor.
Yeah. Where do you see Rogue fitting into that as well?
Versus United, they played a bit more passive. They forced United to dive onto Rogue by taking position together. For example, on Hanamura, you could see Rogue always going together as a 6, and you know they're just waiting, they're taking position, and they want United to dive them. And Rogue usually wins that battle. But if Rogue plays versus a non-free DPS team, they're usually a bit more aggressive because they're playing the free DPS competition. They're a bit more vulnerable, and they have to be a bit more explosive in that regard.
I was actually a bit surprised with the United Movistar Riders matchup because they've been looking on fire leading up to that point. And that one game,
Movistar Riders?
Yes, yeah. They were looking really, really good in all of their matches that they were performing. Coming up against United clearly a team with a lot of experience, just come back from that boot camp session in Korea.
A new addition as well.
New addition with Boombox, who we've talked to death about, but we really do love him. He's a lovely guy, and he's also a standout Zenyatta player. Probably the best in the tournament, possibly the world.
I mean,
possibly the world.
That's a big label you're applying.
He's paying me a lot of money to say this.
But that's definitely what I've heard from a lot of the players, is that they really rate Boombox. They were talking about Boombox and Mausasser as well from Cyclones as potentially some of the best players in the world.
I mean, at least in Europe, they're probably 2 of the best players in the roles.
Yeah. How do you feel about individual skill here in this matchup that we've got coming up? This is a really interesting one in terms of the clash of styles, but what about just the raw skill of the roster? How do you see that?
Are you talking about Riders or Cloud9?
Well, the matchup between the 2 of them as well.
Well, it's hard to say, right? Because we spoke about this a little bit yesterday. So oh, God. What the?
Is that Jason Kaplan's nose with just a pair of eyes on it?
It's morphed into Surefour.
This is...
or shall I say Surefour's morphed into Jason Kaplan's nose?
This is filthy, as Mitch would say.
Poor Surefour. You know, all he wants to do is be represented at his normal size, not upside down, not by a nose, but he can't.
At least the production is creative, you know. Always bringing something new to the table.
Yeah,
lovely.
How do you feel about the 2 teams, though? In terms of their
like we said yesterday, I think that the game is moving towards you need more role players. You need players that do an actual role, you know, with positioning and, you know, with orders and stuff. It's less about mechanical skill, I'd say. And in that regard, I think that Riders have very good role players, and well, Cloud9 has obviously with the influence of
Bishop. Bishop's suiting up.
Like, he is. Looking sharp, isn't he?
As the Movistar Riders, they're giggling to themselves, having a fun time.
Well, let's just say this: like Swoosh is an insane player. I'll highlight.
You'll give him that.
Swoosh has been amazing throughout TakeOver.
He has been he's managed to peak his performance at the LAN as well. He's turned up for the big games for sure.
For sure. Like in practice, I'd say that Logix is the one you're wary of because his tracer really gets a lot of work done.
Funny you say that actually, because we had Cruz on the couch last night, and he actually said that Logix in scrims, he's normally the one who's in that sort of hard carry role.
Yeah.
But throughout the tournament, he's been sort of in the background, almost invisible.
Yeah. Well, I can't pinpoint exactly how much he has got done, but I think that Swoosh got most of the highlights.
Yes,
Displayed.
That is for sure.
He's been really clutch. So, I mean, if you have both those two factors.
The thing is as well, I feel like Movistar Riders, I think you did a number on them. When you ended up beating them 3-1 in that head-to-head, they looked like they were really lacking a bit of confidence going into their next game as well. They looked a bit shaken by that.
Yeah.
So with the day to reset and come back in, the morale looks high. They're going against Cloud9. It's kind of a matchup that we haven't seen before, and it's Cloud9, they're a team that they haven't scrimmed against, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But they have a nice style to go into it, so it's a fresh reset for these guys. They can clear their minds, they can come into this game and focus on just performing at max.
Yeah, well, they played 2-2 in groups, right? And I feel like both teams are just getting better as the tournament advances. So, and given it's a fresh start today, I think that Riders will look a lot better than they did yesterday after their loss to us.
How much does it change coming into it being actually a series, though, rather than just a group stage match that doesn't mean as much? It definitely... It means a lot in terms of where you get eventually seeded, but it's not like an elimination match.
Yeah, I think that's the two different factors. I think that you take both as seriously, of course, but just knowing that elimination is like there, like if you lose, you're out. That's the big factor. But otherwise, I think you're going into it as usual.
Yeah, well, these two teams, the tournament life on the line here.
Yeah.
Low bracket game, loser going to be going home, best of 5. So a lot of opportunities to have resurgences throughout the game, if it goes one way or the other.
I think it says a lot about the talent depth that we've got here at TakeOver 2, that these two guys are in the low bracket as well. This is a phenomenal matchup between two teams that have actually been fantastic. Movistar Riders, when we saw them in tournaments before, I had pegged them as potentially, on paper, the best team in Europe. And then you look over at Cloud9, yes, they weren't coming into this as the best team in North America based on their online performances over in that region. But they come here and they absolutely improved, showed their performance, integrated Kaiser beautifully into their system, had tons of strategies to go up. Zephyr has also been amazing. Reinforce, can you talk to me a little bit about how a good diva really is difficult to play into? What does that do for you guys if you're trying to play into Zephyr?
Well, a good diva is really at the right place at the right time, pretty much all the time. And that's what you see from Zephyr in this regard. You know, if you want to deal with the flankers, he's there to protect his flankers. If you're to dive the role for Adam, you know, he's there to protect the role for Adam. So Zephyr is really just annoying. Good divas are annoying because they're always in the way for you. I think that a lot of teams here at TakeOver, they have a high priority target on especially divas, because when you get rid of the diva, then you're pretty much free to do, follow your initial game plan in that regard.
Well, this is it. The countdown begins. It's Cloud9 versus Movistar Riders. The first game of our final day of the TakeOver 2 is the lower bracket game, remember. So a lot on the line for these two teams moving into it. Lijiang Tower. Cloud9 going to be opening up with a 2-2 PO comp. Surefour. Ooh, coasting. A little bit dangerous there. Running that Farah. Going to be laying in the damage. Movistar Riders going for a 2-2 sort of dive composition, but Fincy on the Zarya as opposed to normally the Diva.
With the Zarya, plays beautifully into the Diva kind of composition. They know exactly what both teams are going to be running here. Cloud9 not going for the Mercy. Adam falling incredibly weak towards the beginning of this fight.
Yeah, they're going to be trading up. Equally there, Zephyr going to be falling. Swift strike by Swoosh just to lay in the damage, but Surefour is heavily on his tail. Goes for the deflect kill, doesn't quite get it, but look at this, Movistar Riders starting to turn it round to a degree. Surefour, though, if he's got something to say about it, not quite. He finds the double kill for his team. Swoosh, however, still on the point, putting in work. Dante now following it up. He's got the Discord orbs on him, and that will be enough damage done by Swoosh once again, just to clinch it out for his team. So Movistar Riders going to be taking this first point.
That was a really close fight, actually, between the two. Surefour on the Farah is always going to be a danger, but he's actually switching it up now.
Yeah.
It looks like he's going to be going for the Tracer. He threatened the Reaper there for a moment.
That was a bit surprising, I'd say, for a second or two, but...
Just cycling through.
Yeah.
But talk to me a little bit about this Zarya coming out from Movistar Riders Reinforce, playing into the Diva.
Well, Cloud9 doesn't really have a Diva right now. They swept to the Soldier, I guess.
Yeah.
So I guess this is something they have
He's
planned.
moving in, Dragon Blade in hand, goes for the kills, can't quite find it, but he claims it onto Adam regardless. Gets one slash into the back lines onto Zephyr, but Zephyr's going to get healed up as well. Movistar Riders now moving into the back, trying to assist him as best as they possibly can, treading quite equally as it stands. Ultimate's online here. Transcendence going to be used by Cloud9 as well. Wants to take this fight a little bit further forward, but it's going to be the Primal Rage by Colsty, doing all sorts of damage. Logic to a pulse bomb, connects onto Zephyr. Beautiful work, turning up for his team in the heat at the moment, and still Movistar Riders holding on for now.
This is a battle of compositional adaptability as well. Both Surefire and Zephyr have switched their comps because Movistar Riders were running this Zarya. They didn't want to play the D.Va composition into it, and they've pushed Surefire over to the Tracer, now running this double hit scan, triple DPS composition that plays quite nicely into the Zarya. Finzi staying on it rather than going back to his normal soldier, 87% of the Graviton, and they've already got 71% of the cap as well. Movistar Riders with a great start to Lijiang.
All eyes on Finzi with this Graviton surge. He's going to be trying to initiate it, and he has used it, but look at this, Gods in the back, working his magic. Soundbar is going to be keeping him alive for now. Movistar's falling quite weak, swoosh with the 2K. Kaiser will put an end to his life, swift and justly, but right now still just trying to survive. Primal leaping himself out of the mixture there. Kaiser now going to be falling as well, quite weak, has to jump his way out there. Will get the mega pack, but post-bomb going to be committed as well. Still, this fight trying to get taken. Zephyr using his tactical visor. Overtime ticking over. Cloud9 need to be getting onto this point. Shovel has a post-bomb, doesn't want to commit it just yet, just holding on to it. Primal Rage by Colsty as well, going to be prolonging this engagement. Logix tries to take the 1v1 here. Sureforce still on full HP. Commits the post-bomb, doesn't connect it. Now it's going to be a Dragon Blade, I believe, by Swoosh as well. Claims 1 kill. He's so weak as well, 3 HP. All he needs is a little tick, and Kaiser can't finish him off. Movistar Riders claiming the first round.
And the important fight of that round specifically was the second fight, because Movistar Riders starting with the Zarya, it was probably they knew that Cloud9 was pulling out the Pharah, and then you can feed a lot on the spam and you get high charge. And then we saw the Cloud9 swapped up to the free DPS as a counter, because Zarya in general has very hard time getting any charge whatsoever versus a free DPS composition, because...
As long as you're not running the Pharah.
Yeah, exactly. So they swapped to the Genji Tracer Soldier, which was fine. But after they lost that second fight, then Finzi had so much ultimate charge, so they pretty much had a Graviton for the third fight, which is very likely to win a fight for you. And from there, it's just so hard for Cloud9 to even get anything done.
So a little bit of mind games there in terms of the composition as well. Both teams looking very prepared. They know what compositions the enemies have been running in a lot of these matchups. Finzi again starting off with the Zarya.
We'll be watching Colsty's perspective for this one.
Yeah, this is very unexpected, I'd say, that they're running Zarya here. I know that Movistar Riders, they play a lot of Zarya, specifically on Nepal, but I haven't seen them run Zarya this consistently.
Maybe they're just trying to push Cloud9 into triple DPS compositions where they have seemed less of a force than when Zephyr is playing the D.Va.
Yeah, that's actually a good point.
Moving into the back, Colsty tries to initiate for his team. Doesn't work out for him. Cloud9 managed to kite them effectively, picking up 2 kills in a row. Now it is Kaiser's turn to strike back. The Emperor will fall here. Dante going to be collecting that kill from him, still contesting the point. Hasn't gone to either side yet. Discord Orbs putting in a lot of work as well. Zephyr just slamming into the back lines there with the bullets, raining them down. Sureforce also putting in tons of work. Movistar Riders still trying to contest this with the remaining members of the team, just jumping in one at a time, but it's not quite working out for them. They are contesting it to a decent degree, buying a lot of time for the team here. They will fall. Cloud9 starting to cap this up, should be able to get this one as well, and I believe God's there with a quick and dirty little shuriken onto Dante just to finish things up.
So you were right, Sideshow, that they're probably playing the Zarya to bait Cloud9 to play a triple DPS composition. But Control Center is actually one of the better stages, specifically on Lijiang, to run your triple DPS composition. So I don't think Cloud9, in this regard, have any trouble pulling out, specifically on this stage.
And Finzi has now swapped over, so now they're going for the mirror matchup. But that's good for Movistar Riders as well. They are very comfortable with the mirror matchup of triple DPS, and they've kind of forced Cloud9's hand into playing that against them by playing it at the beginning with that Zarya. However, they have given up the ultimate advantage and 30% on the board for Cloud9. Huge amount of ultimates available for them. Dante with the support ultimate, going to pop it off from the Riders.
Okay, God's moving in with the Dragon Blade, does force out the Transcendence. Going to be using Swoosh's own Dragon Blade though, moves into the back, brings down God's tactical visor used by Zephyr as well. Kills flowing in now for Movistar Riders. They are firmly set into the backlines here of Cloud9, still in possession of the point for now, finding these picks. Kaiser does manage to bring down Finzi. Nobody really focuses down Zephyr. Now they're going to be starting to put some damage into him. 9 HP, wants to play a bit passive for now. Rolf also putting in work, headshot onto Swoosh as he tries to jump into the back. Primal Rage used here by Colsty, trying to firmly set this fight into their favor, but it's not quite working out for him. Has to leap himself away.
So many ultimates use their reinforce.
Yes, that was Cloud9's fight to win, I guess, because they pulled out both support ultimates, and that's basically a guaranteed one team fight. So I think it was a good trade with Colsty's Primal Rage and Swoosh's Blade. And this next one, Movistar Riders really need to win. Well, it's probably going to be the last fight of the round anyway.
Yeah, they absolutely have to win it for multiple reasons. They've got Neptuno's sound barrier to work with. Kaiser and Surefour, the only guys with ultimates over on Cloud9. Oh, look at that. So much damage coming out onto Surefour, actually. In the backlines, Dante with the right clicks. Really great prediction. Oh, and he manages to pick him off. He's got Surefour's number.
That's the power of the Discord Orb. Gives you those temporary vision through the walls. Cloud9 still finding the picks. No Logic's trying to return it. Going to be now using the tactical visor. Kaiser in a bit of a troubling situation. Moving, leaping, trying to find a kill. But Fincy will get the better of him. Overtime ticking down now. Burning to a crisp still. Cloud9 fighting the picks where they possibly can. Neptuno ends up using the sound barrier pretty early on in that engagement just to try and flip it over. Colsey moving in. Cloud9, however, full control of the point. And they will get a round out from underneath Movistar Riders.
So I think that Movistar Riders need to respect Cloud9's free DPS from here on. You sort of need to try and outskill them rather than outsmart them. Bishop obviously has done a lot of strategic work here, so it's paying off big time for Cloud9, especially because they win these first fights and it's so easy to snowball off it.
Cloud9 seem to be so much better coming into this tournament than we've seen them in North America in terms of their execution on lots of different strategies. They always had the versatility within their roster, but they kind of looked a little bit shaky on everything to an extent. They were trending towards the dive, but didn't have as crisp an execution. It also didn't help that they were kind of in a region with Rogue, who were really showing exactly how to play it. Coming up against Movistar Riders here, they're definitely showing that they can go toe-to-toe with some of the best dive teams in Europe at the very least. Sticking with this triple DPS composition into Night Market as well.
Here we go. Getting underway, Zephyr on the high ground, putting in a bit of work. Movistar Riders going for triple DPS themselves, seeing if they can hunt down the targets. Effectively meeting Cloud9 face-to-face, head-on here. A battle of wits as well. Logic's trying to take the 1v1. Surefour very weak. They might try and dive on him. 20 HP in the end. Backs off for now. He's in a bit of trouble, though, getting ran down. He's going to blink away. Cloud9 forced to play super passive in this engagement.
Riders are absolutely excellent at the initial fight on Lijiang Night Market. They seem to... Colsey, the way that he gets progress as he slowly moves up.
Wow, that's
just filthy with the right click. But Riders establishing really early control. That loss of the Tracer, though, is going to hurt them. Cloud9 with a good opportunity to retake.
Still point and control for Movistar. Surefour's.
Yeah, this is very patient play from Cloud9. They get picked off at the first fight, and what they do is they just wait and they take position, and you can see here they're coming in from all the angles here for the second fight. And while Movistar Riders are capped like 20% already, they're in a very good position here to win this fight. But they're actually losing it.
Swoosh with the pick onto Zephyr just as he was taken down by Kaiser. Movistar Riders, they're playing, they are surrounded on all sides basically, but they are being able to focus off individual targets so well that they're able to retain control. Build up those ultimates, 40% now. Cloud9's kind of, I don't want to call it passive, but it was more tentative. It was approaching, they were looking for an angle, they didn't want a hard commit. It's gifted them 50% on the board.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, we see ultimates online coming up for these teams. Movistar Riders definitely in the driving seat when it comes to that. They've got the ultimate advantage. Swoosh is possibly even looking for an opening. Discord Orb on him is going to at least make him play a little bit more passive for now. Look at this position by Colsey as well, just waiting on the ledge for them right time to strike, and he's got the Dragon Blade. They want to initiate, they want to be forcing out some of these support ults. I feel like they try and go on him as well. Swoosh though getting ran down, tries to go for the deflect, but you can't deflect the Tesla cannon, pal. Going to be running in now. Transcendence used by Cloud9 as well. We're seeing them move in as well, using these support ults pretty early. Swoosh still holding onto his own Dragon Blade. They've only got the one support ult to make this work. Using the Transcendence as well from Movistar Riders. A lot of ultimates used by as well. Fincy popping off the tactical visor. Soundbarrier used as well by both teams, trying to prolong this one out. Swoosh finally going to be using that Soundbarrier. Gods trying to get a duel to the death here with the blades. A little bit of a samurai congestion. Still Primal Rage being used as well by Kaiser, just knocking him about, keeping him off the point. Cloud9 able to recap it, expending a lot of ultimates in the process.
Talk to me about the battle of the ultimates there, Ryan.
Yeah, Movistar Riders, they're a bit too patient with their play. They pulled 2 ultimates where they're just standing on point and trying to hold their position. When you're the first team to use ultimates, you really need to be aggressive with it, and you need to try to find picks and basically force out Cloud9's ultimates. But Cloud9 were just able to wait out Movistar Riders' ultimates and just be able to re-engage after them.
Riders are very good in this kind of dry time here where there's no ultimates on the board though. And that early pick onto Zephyr, and there's a pulse bomb in on the other side onto Finzi. But they've started it, trading a couple of kills. The spawn's slightly going to be better for Movistar Riders as they get back into this fight. They're at 95% on the board as well here. One turnover, they'll be able to get it, but it doesn't look like it's going to be this time as Surefall pops off in the back.
Yeah, Dante just sort of gave up halfway through there. I think the call must have been made pretty early on just to reset the fight, regroup as 6. They've still got plenty of time. Cloud9 only about 50% on the board so far for this round. And no ultimates across the board, so it's going to be a battle of raw mechanical skill, I think, coming into this now. Point's going to start to get played a little bit. It's going to force the positioning. They've almost got the Cloud9 need to contest onto the point, trying to fight on it. Still eating a bit of damage here and there. Fincy still putting in work as well. Look at that, Discord Orbs just melting through Kaiser. That's the loss of the main tank, but Adams going to get the boop off onto Dante, removing the Zenyatta. That could be pretty big for them, turning this fight around. Transcendence now used here by Cloud9, trying to prolong the fight, keep them nice and healthy. Still, Kosti almost at Primal Rage, finding frags all over the place between both these teams. Now it's going to be the Dragon Blade used by God. He's on no health whatsoever. Is end up falling. Surefall with the post bomb, trying to secure this. The overtime ticking over. At the point in control of Movistars, they managed to flip it over. Surefall tries to take the 1v1. Adam joining him in the final moments. They might be able to flip this one over, but Dante's joining him as well. Beat's going to be dropped. Possibly, yes, Neptuno drops it on himself. He only connects it onto that one player. Is going to get pushed back. Cloud9 working their magic. Surefall just putting in the damage. Gods as well, just backing them up perfectly. They should be able to cap this one up. They will indeed. Movistar Riders, Neptuno, talk to me there. Using the soundbar in the final moment.
That was a strange one for sure, definitely. They managed to recap the point, so it's not like Cloud9 are taking it up and it's in an overtime situation and they absolutely have to get it. So Movistar could have disengaged, but Cloud9's aggression was so good at being able to focus down Dante all the time. He died with his Transcendence just about to go up. Rolf was able to reply, and now they've got the sound barrier. But Rolf actually died there. Adam not able to catch him with that one. Opens the door for Dante, Finzi, Swoosh. They're using all of their ultimates to try and contest this one. It is into the overtime situation. They have to be able to get it, but Zephyr's going mental.
That was actually ridiculous. He got all of them really, really low. The tactical visor just doing all the work for him. Overtime ticking over. That is swinging the fight firmly into Cloud9's favor. Kosti trying to delay it as long as he possibly can. Primal Rage knocking these targets around like ragdolls as it stands, but Zephyr will not stand for it, will put an end to it. Overtime ticking down. Cloud9 claim another round, 2-1.
And that was just a spectacular play coming out of Zephyr. They basically just won them the round single-handedly. It was a close fight with both teams having a lot of ultimates, but Zephyr just getting through there for Cloud9.
The ultimate battle in the middle of that, where both teams committed so many ults as well, was really pivotal, because as soon as Riders are on the back foot from that, although they're at 99%, they weren't able at any further point to be able to flip it over. They got so much ground really early on, converted that into percentage, while Cloud9 playing excellently when they were actually in control, locking Movistar Riders out completely. That's a stage that Riders would have expected to be able to take from them, and now they're 2-1 down.
And now Swoosh is coming out with the fire. This is usually what we see Swoosh playing in scrims on this stage, so this is going to be interesting. This is pretty much default Movistar Riders, I'd say.
I like it. I like it a lot. Running into Cloud9, not really running too much to mitigate this Farah pick. No Diva on Zephyr at least, but they do have Rolf with the Zenyatta for the Discord Orbs, putting in a lot of damage into him already, but the Rocket's going to be firing into Zephyr, brings him down quite low, forces out the biotic field. Kosti working his magic, jumps into the back, claims the kill onto Gods, but he will be brought down in the end. This is a tricky situation for them both, just finding these frags here and there. Zephyr tries to go for the flank attempt, doesn't work for him. Now the point's going to start to get unlocked. They're leading it in. Neptuno finding kills here and there for his team, trading quite evenly. Swoosh in a lot of trouble. Surefall's aim on point. Wonderful tracking coming out from him. And this should be Cloud9 taking this one. Still, players from Movistar Riders trickling in. They are getting the respawners.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Surefall's doing a lot of work for his team, but Cloud9 are getting picked off in the back. Movistar Riders had very patient positioning, and they are going to be able to get in control of the point in the end. Swoosh, I think, did quite a bit of work, but also managed to make sure that he was safe right up until the end there, where he was forced to commit, and Surefall was able to get the pick. Maybe if Cloud9 had been playing a Diva comp, it would have gone better into it. Now they're in control as well. Swoosh is going to be able to do a lot of work.
Pulse bomb in hand. Will be soon, 1%, there you go. He's grabbed it up, Logic's now trying to take the 1v1 against Surefall. Surefall seems to be coming on top of these engagements, but Swoosh gets a long-range rocket. Pulse bomb going to be connecting, Logic's brings him down. Dante with the follow-up, the damage is definitely there. And the deed is done. Cloud9 lose 4 members of their team in a quick, concise fashion. They're going to be falling, trying to escape, but it's the late straggler kills.
And I think that Cloud9 here is they're playing a bit too passive because the strength of Movistar Raiders' composition is basically you have a Pharah, you have a Soldier, and you have a Zenyatta. So it's basically all spam. And Cloud9, they're just standing by and just taking all of this spam. They've changed up to a Pharah of their own. So I guess they're going to try to out-poke Movistar Raiders in that sense and get Coldstreet to maybe overextend a bit like he did in the first fight.
Not only are Movistar Riders in control of the point here, but they also have double hit scan playing into Show4, whereas Show4 has Gods on his side, the Shurikens a little less easily able to put damage into Swoosh. The poke from long distance is going to be better from Movistar Riders. Show4 is going to be having to play so safe and behind the obstacles in the air. Difficult for him to actually get any ground at all.
And now you see that Cloud9, they haven't really taken a proper fight. They've just been standing there and taking the spam and getting picked off one by one. So now we see the last fight coming into this round probably, if Movistar Riders can win it, and they have 5-6 ultimates going into it. So it's going to be very rough for Cloud9, given how it started out on the round.
Absolutely. Passive play so far by Cloud9. Surefoot still in the Pharah, going to be trying to take the battle to them. Now they're going to be leaping into the back lines, taking it aggressively. Transcendence used. Barrows as well here by Swoosh. Can be kept alive with the sound barrier. Tactical visor used here by Movistar Riders again. Fincy finding the kills, expelling a lot of ultimates here, but so are Cloud9 trying to turn this one around, but they don't have the players. 99% ticking down. Kaiser trying to prolong this fight with the Primal Rage. Whacking these players around the point will get focused down. Overtime coming down for them. Movistar Riders in firm control here. Logics as well, just rotating around, but Cloud9 now moving back in. They've got the sound barrier. Adam putting in work, just roaming around, trying to keep this point alive, keep the dream alive for Cloud9 to try and win this one out, but the damage is definitely being done by Movistar Riders, and it will be a second round going to them, taking Lijiang Tower all the way.
And the only time you really saw Cloud9 having any sign of life on that round was on the first fight, when Coldstreet overextended to the bridge and Cloud9 managed to pick him off. And that's sort of the game that Cloud9 were trying to play on that round. But after that first fight, when you have to retake, I think the Cloud9 were playing way too passive, and it felt like they were playing it like they had a diva on their side, but they really didn't. So I think they needed to jump a bit further, take initiation, and just take position and force Movistar Riders to this.
Final stage of Lijiang here. This first map is going to be an incredibly close one between Cloud9 and Movistar Riders. In the group stage as well, they split the maps 2-2 here on Lijiang. They've split the stages 2-2 as well. A knife's edge divides these two teams, but it is going to be the final stage on Night Market as well. Cloud9 took it, but Movistar Riders had a great start to it, and their first fight was excellent. That Helix rocket coming out from Zephyr doesn't quite catch anybody. He takes a lot of damage in return. Movistar Riders with a bit of early positioning, but Gods is right in their back line.
Wow, okay, a bit of a dangerous positioning. He is going to get out, but that's going to cause the leap there. God's in a bit of trouble. Harmony Orb on him, so he's going to get healed up for now. This goal as well. Swoosh missing his jump, has to Swish strike away to stay alive. Point about to be unlocked. Fincy claims the first blood for his team. Coasty follows up with the damage into the back. Two quick and easy picks there for Movistar Riders, and again, showing why they are the bosses of Night Market.
Yeah, the first fight is excellent from Movistar Riders. The way that they're able to get position, they know that people are going to be going toe-to-toe with them over by the Lion statues. Movistar Riders, Coasty's really, really good in that situation, being able to mitigate damage coming into the rest of his team.
And it seemed like Gods going that aggressive at the start. He had something planned, and I think that Cloud9 were talking about maybe potentially going a bit aggressive. You even saw Surefoot poking a bit on the side of Movistar Riders. So I think they wanted to go a bit aggressive. I don't know if Kaiser didn't just follow up on the aggression, but it did seem like Gods went very far up from his team and just then had to go out, and they just played a poke fight, which Movistar Riders ended up winning.
Movistar Riders with a very reactive kind of dive style as well. Cloud9 are going to try and force the engagement here outside, but Movistar know exactly where they're coming from. Their attention is split over onto the point as well, as Surefoot was getting a little bit of cap time, but they've managed to block both avenues of attack here from Cloud9. Movistar Riders getting the early pick onto Kaiser, who has been pressured so hard. Logics into the back, picks off Rolf, and now it's going to be an ultimate fight to see whether Cloud9 can steal back this control of Night Market.
50% already on the board between these two teams.
I think Cloud9, they really need to pressure Logics here on the left-hand side. I think one of the keys to Movistar Riders being so successful is that Logics is pressuring basically one half of the map by his own, you know.
Look at that. Post-bomb going to be committed. Transcendence, Cloud9 looking to use the ults. It's going to be Gods moving in with the Dragon Blade as well, but he gets forced back. Ultimate's used in return as well. Movistar Riders trying to take the fight long and hard here. Swoosh as well with his Dragon Blade. Finding these kills is traded equally. Cloud9 do manage to flip the point. Post-bomb comes out, doesn't quite connect here by Surefoot, and he gets pressured down by Dante. Brings him down to a crisp there. Fincy with the Helix rockets into the tail end of this fight. Might be flipped into their favor, and I think it will be indeed. Cloud9, they get the point, but it's immediately flipped back.
They're going to have another opportunity to re-engage here. That's the advantage of having taken control of the fight. Take 15% up for them means that it's not 15% up for Riders, because they would be in the overtime situation right now. Logix, I feel, is really hitting his stride as well. Seems to be performing excellently for them, particularly in this stage. They're putting so much pressure on Kaiser.
Look at this now. Promo rages by Colsey. Just tries to knock them off the edge. Doesn't quite work out for him. Just stalling them out. 91% already. Might actually get a kill or two. No, not quite. Promo rage going to be ending now. The beat's going to get dropped here for Cloud9. Looking to initiate their way in. Gods finding a kill. Finds a second one. Still working his magic around the point. Deflex coming out. He finds a third. He's clinching it for them in the final moments. They needed to do this. They needed these kills. And he's turning up when it matters.
This is an exact repeat of what happened in the previous time they played Night Market as well. It gets to the end. Movistar Riders have done so well. They win the first fight. They stay in position. But Cloud9 eventually, they're able to flip it. And at that point, they were able to stay in control. Crucial picks onto Dante and Neptuno really early in the fight. Dante was just about to get his Transcendence live, chose not to use it in that situation just as he was about to die there, and Movistar Riders end up losing the fight. But they now have the ultimates, or soon will, to be able to take control. That's not going to help though.
That little entry pick there. Fincy, just when Movistar Riders were about to move in with their ultimate advantage. Gods is...
Oh, he's gonna... No?
No.
Yeah, he jumped back.
Okay. Colsey just getting a bit sneaky there.
I was scared he was going to get picked off or being chased down, but he got out safely.
Very similar ultimates across the board as well. Rolf with the engage. They've used the Transcendence. Primal Rage also. Will Gods choose to invest his Dragon Blade as well? There is one coming out from Swoosh as he tries to get a pick on his Shuffle. They've already found the support line as well, but Gods replies with his Dragon Blade.
Cloud9 coming out on top right now as it stands, putting in the work. God's going to get ran down by the Tesla Cannon, but it gets capped up. Movistar Riders going to get the overtime coming in. Cloud9 have got the player advantage, but the point is firmly in control here for the Riders. Still playing this around. Logix, they are going to let them get this recap. He's playing around the back lines, a bit of time on the board. Cloud9 at a knife's edge between these two teams. It's 2-all. Map number 1 in this lower bracket game between Cloud9 and Movistar Riders. You can tell how hotly contested it is between them.
And this is going to be a very interesting fight. Both sides have the tactical visor up, but there's no support elements. Neptuno, probably the closest one. He's the closest one to getting a sound barrier up. So I think the Cloud9 or Movistar Riders, Cloud9, they need to go aggressive here and force to pop that sound barrier quickly.
Point's going to get played by Movistar's. Already got 2 men on it. Going to be running them down, trying to find the kills. Going to be using the ults. Primal Rage, Sound Barrier, absolutely everything. Thrown at Cloud9, straight to the wall. Already got a bit of cap time. They get it, the overtime ticking over. Cloud9 losing the players. Rolf's going to be falling at the start of the engagement. Gods trying to basically salvage it for the rest of his team. Kaiser running them down as well, but they've lost so many players. Sherfo with the post bomb, or Logix, I should say, not quite working out for them in the end. Overtime ticking down. Cloud9, 3 players alive. Gods running into the fight, but Swoosh brings them down with a swift end. And that will be Movistar Riders claiming map number 1 in this best of 5 in the lower bracket.
I was a little bit worried coming into that one as well when Finzi uses his tactical visor and gets kind of baited a little bit by Surefour as he's flitting around. Very difficult to get value out of that if Surefour's got his blinks active and his recall. He just used his abilities to dodge around. But they get the better end of it by picking Adam and Rolf really early there. Zephyr really not able to get too much out of his tactical visor. Swoosh has been on fire all tournament.
He has. He's been the driving force for Riders 100% of the way, turning up.
It felt like Cloud9, they had a bit of trouble retaking most of those points with free DPS composition. They're very used to playing the D.Va, and it felt like that was their style, right?
Yeah, do you not feel like Movistar Riders got the early advantage in terms of the mind games by running that Zarya and showing that they had a counter, or in a compositional sense, to Zifa's D.Va? And forcing them to run triple DPS the entire way? We really haven't seen that much from Cloud9. They normally trend towards the D.Va. It looked like Movistar Riders got an early mind games advantage over them.
Yeah, but you have the question, like, how impactful is the Zarya versus the D.Va? You can still play the D.Va if that's what you're the most comfortable with. And it just didn't feel like... Maybe Cloud9 respected the Zarya a bit too much, I'd say. And I think at this stage of the tournament, you sort of have to rely on your own game and just play through strengths.
Perhaps in the heat of the moment as well, not taking a step back and thinking, why don't we just go back to it? When it's the triple DPS v triple DPS, maybe the fact that Bishop isn't in the booth with them telling them means that they don't, in the moment, think to go back to it and try and run that and just reset themselves.
Yeah, you saw them having a lot of trouble, especially on the bridge stage. Gardens, yes.
That's the one.
They were not able to cross the bridge. They were trying to go on the flank on the left side with the White Room. It didn't yield any fruit either. So They looked stuck, to be honest. Yeah, I think they it didn't look like the usual Cloud9.
Having said that, they still performed fantastically against
they did,
Movistar
yes.
Riders. Both of these two teams are so even across the board. It's going to be really interesting to see where this series goes as well. Movistar Riders take an early lead, but man, was that a close map.
Well, it's going to be Cloud9's map pick for the next stage at least. We will be getting that up underway. Do you feel like Cloud9 to a degree? I mean, in their map against NiP, the real reason they took it out under NiP was because NiP were quite not flexible, essentially. They couldn't switch around off the tank compositions, couldn't run the dive as effectively. Whereas Cloud9 here, making a lot more swaps compared to other teams in the tournament. They can play a variety of compositions. Do you feel like that might be their downfall coming into this as well, as Movistar Riders predominantly playing the dive composition?
I don't think it is personally, because Cloud9 have looked so excellent in their execution of the dive compositions. When they go over to tanks, they're
That's
also
true.
good, but they're not going to be playing tank at any point against Movistar Riders, it seems. When they're going to be playing against the elite level teams, basically for the entire rest of the bracket, if they progress from here, they're going to be playing against Movistar Riders to start with, fantastic triple DPS team. E-United, fantastic triple DPS team. Rogue, fantastic triple DPS team. The tank teams appear to have been eliminated earlier in this bracket.
Yes. Do you know what? It's funny actually as well, because you look at a lot of these teams that can run a variety of compositions, and it's almost like, you know, jack of all trades, master of none in a certain sense. But with Cloud9, they play a lot of these compositions quite well. Kaiser very formidable on the Reinhardt himself, but can play the Winston to a degree and unlocking the potential of his team. Maybe not as good as some of the other Winstons in the tournament, but still brings the power to his team and the compositions. And now we're moving into Gibraltar. This is Cloud9's pick. Thoughts on this reinforce?
This is spicy.
They're starting out on attack, yes. They're probably going to Ronda Hanson, Sombra, and Bastion. What do you think, Brent?
Sure.
Yeah, that's
Sure.
That's my analysis for the day. Actually, like, this is I want to run Sombra on this...
on Gibraltar?
On the first point. There's a lot of mega health packs here.
That's true.
I think it's kind of viable, but it's not something you can run consistently, like maybe first fight.
I haven't seen a team run it at all on Gibraltar.
Well,
I mean,
we tried in practice, but
Yeah.
we didn't have a ton of success. But we actually tried it because I think this is a fantastic point for Sombra play if you really master it.
It makes sense. A lot of health packs is a mega just in the left-hand building as soon as you walk out the spawn. Even the small health packs as well.
Logic's here starting on the Diva. I don't think I've seen that before from Movistar Riders as well.
I haven't either. So.
Wow, okay. This is on the defense. So 2-2-2 composition. Also going to be running Dante on the Ana.
Okay.
Fincy doing a little dad dance.
Ana Zen composition coming out from Movistar Riders with Logic's away from his usual Tracer.
This is
Almost
interesting
all the
as well.
time seen on Tracer. Zifa on the Widowmaker, seeing if he can get those picks. He does have to play into a Diva, a little bit of pressure, but it's a very passive hold here from Movistar Riders, rather than the aggression that you normally see from triple DPS defenses.
Here's the thing, they've completely surprised Cloud9. They pulled out Zephyr on the Widowmaker to try and counter off the traditional triple DPS that they thought they were going to be running. But instead, it's this passive hold by Movistar Riders playing it super passive, this sort of 2-2 peel comp. Logic will get desuited. Could be dangerous for them. Zephyr putting in work as well. Gods with the Swift Strike putting in the damage. The backline's being held for now, but really at what cost? Zephyr has a huge sight line. They cannot peek it whatsoever. Fincy can't get anything out of it, and look at that. Immediately answering back with the headshot. Kills rolling in. Cart not getting contested. Movistar Riders dropping like flies, and it is going to get contested for now, but at what cost? They've lost so much really just room there. Why Reinforce do you think they've gone for the 2-2 peel when they could have ran the triple DPS and held aggressively like teams like E-United, like teams like Rogue do?
Well, having seen or played Movistar Riders in scrims, they are very fond of this Anas and Yara comp, especially on this map, because you have the high ground, so you can sort of abuse it. And I think they just want the Diva to sort of keep those two supports alive and play off them. But I think that the Widowmaker in that sense sort of just counters it, because your Monkey and your Genji is forced to deal with the Widowmaker, and it just leaves the support up to be killed.
Look at this aggression. Gods moving into the back with the Dragon Blade. The bubbles causing a lot of damage mitigation, but the kill's definitely rolling in. Gets the deflect, swoosh in a bit of trouble. Misses the Swift Strike, but the beatdown is there. And the cart will continue to roll forwards, and this is the trouble now. Starting to get into the snowballing attempt, the momentum building for Cloud9.
That is crazy that they've been able to get so much room without Movistar being able to contest once, and that's one of the problems with running the Ana Zen composition, is that you can't re-engage that many times. Again, with the triple DPS, this is what we're used to, is seeing so many engages on the defense. They've only had 2 fights, lost them, and they're already at checkpoint 2. This is ridiculous tempo from Cloud9.
Absolutely crazy. They committed the Nano Blade as well. Fincy forced it back off. He jumps off. Oh, Kaiser actually managed to find a kill. Okay, a bit more forgivable for him. I thought he just jumped off, but not the case. Still contesting. Movistar Riders trying their hardest to defend this one up. Logix gets desuited once again. Beat going to be dropped by Cloud9. Still the players on the point. 2.8 meters left to go, and still almost 4 meters, or 4 minutes, I should say. 5 minutes on the clock, and already on checkpoint 2. Cloud9 showing no signs of slowing down.
And that fight looked a lot closer than it actually was. You saw that Cloud9 started off with popping the Zenyatta ultimate with the Transcendence. And then actually they pulled back a lot, and they played, you could see Rolf playing behind the boxes, and they were waiting for Adam's sound barrier to come up. He was about 90%. If he had just had a sound barrier from the get-go, Cloud9 probably would have won that fight a lot faster. That was their fight to win.
And Zifa has not had to switch off this Widowmaker the entire fight. They just haven't even been threatened, so why would you bother? It's also excellent in this final area if they're able to get enough room to push around the corner. But look, Movistar Riders still really passive. They are not engaging on them really early on. They've given so much room for free.
Look at it, it's already around this U-bend area right here. Zephyr still putting in work as well into the back lines, just causing these sightline issues for them. Swoosh ends up falling, and this is so strong. This whole, I love Widowmaker on this point. You've got such a long sightline to work with into the back, and if you don't have the composition to deal with it, you're going to be in troubling times. Movistar Riders looking to defend, using the Primal Rage, but still playing super passive. The positioning not there. Pokes bomb by Sure4, claims 2 kills. 4 minutes on the clock. Cloud9 moving forward with blistering paces right now. Bio Grenade will be used by Dante, trying to salvage it to a degree. They've got the Nanovisor to use, but Cloud9 working their magic, using the sound barrier, finding the kills, and look at that. 4 minutes on the clock.
That is an unbelievable time by Cloud9. But I felt like as good as they were playing, Movistar started with a weird game plan.
Yeah.
That was quite the snowball, man. That was,
that was an avalanche.
But yeah, it started with Anna Zenyatta, and it just snowballed off of that, because on the first point you saw the Cloud9, they just needed one fight, and Zephyr played really well. They got a few picks with the Widow. On the second point, they still kept the Anna Zenyatta, and they happened, so they only got one fight on the second point. And then when they finally swapped to the Lucio on the third point, it felt like it was pretty much Cloud9 just having control.
And by that time, they've got the ultimate advantage up. But the Anna Zenyatta comp, they start off with it. It's a bit more of a passive, high ground kind of style. But because they lost the first fight and Logix was demeched so quickly, they wanted to stick with it, I think, because they were so close to their ultimates. Both Dante and Neptuno were close to their ults in the second phase. But in the second phase, you need that mobility. You need the ability to engage much earlier on, to be able to contest the high ground, to be able to get back in. And sticking with the Anna Zen comp in that sense, you don't have the high ground ability. They gave up the entirety of checkpoint 1 and 2 off the back of 1.5 fights. That's almost unforgivable from Movistar Riders. They're going to have to put up a ridiculous attack here to even get close. Cloud9 started with 4 minutes on the clock. They finished in 4 seconds.
Ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous. Cloud9, as you mentioned before, wasn't a snowball, more of an avalanche. It was just never stopping. The cart did not stop moving whatsoever. A single pace, but the countdown will begin. Movistar Riders looking to go for a 2-2 comp again with this attack. Could change up, however. And Cloud9 going for the triple DPS. We see teams run this all the time on Gibraltar. It's a map that it's well known for. Rogue have popularized it quite well, and they might go for the aggressive attacking defense straight away into the back lines.
Holding a little bit passive for now, but looking to engage from the high ground, I think. Rolf, they've actually taken a huge amount of damage there from Movistar Riders.
Look at that.
Both teams actually decided to fall back a little bit and not aggress really early on in the defense. This is unusual.
This is not how you really play triple DPS as well on this defense. Cloud9 are kiting themselves back. They don't want to lose players. But normally when you see teams play the triple DPS, they play it super aggressively, jumping onto the cart to stall out as much time as possible. But Movistar Riders getting a bit of momentum here. Swoosh moves into the back, trying to deal a bit of damage here. The bubble's going to get dropped as well. Cloud9 getting a decent defense for now, but not really initiating into them too much. Still contesting it. Rolf has the Discord Orb on him. Reflect pops off, jumps down to the low ground in a bit of trouble, but Adam's there to save him. The peel there. The two supporting brothers in arms working out their anger issues on the poor, unsuspecting foes of Movistar Riders.
So it seems like Movistar Riders are a bit unsynchronized here. Swoosh just basically alone going for the Zenyatta. When they're playing a diva and should realistically just poke on the side of Cloud9 and just get ground.
That's a nice
Kills
pulse
are
bomb.
rolling in here for Movistar Riders. Logic setting it up with the pulse bomb, still holding on to it. Cart moving in, they need to contest it now. Cloud9 moving in, Transcendence going to be used to initiate. Fincy, however, finding the kills regardless of that. Now the pulse bomb used as well by Surefour, I believe, just to try to get the D-Mech. But again, the healing coming out from the Movistar Riders with their own Transcendence, putting in work here. Swoosh with the Swift Strikes, finding the damage where it counts, and it should be the checkpoint going their way. Zephyr trying to stall it out to the best of his ability.
But one of the big differences here is that Cloud9 have been able to get multiple fights.
Yeah.
Movistar Riders managed to take it. They look like they're kind of in control. There was no point at which they lost a team fight, but a lot of time being chipped away from them. Although they've got 4 minutes 30 to be able to now assail the rest of the map, Cloud9 are doing a good job of just whittling time away from them by forcing fight after fight after fight. And that's something that Movistar Riders weren't able to do with the composition that they had picked. Cloud9 playing it pretty well thus far.
What's your thoughts on Zephyr now switching to D.Va here, Reinforce?
I think it's fine. I think these two chokes are very hard to get through, and you can see already that Movistar Riders are going hard at these chokes. You need a D.Va to sort of use the D.Va matrix to get out onto the second point here.
Oh, well, here it comes. The Dragon Blade used by Gods forces out the sound barrier for the enemy team, but not really finding the kills that he was looking for. Kaiser now forced to use the Primal Rage in close quarters. Claims a kill, claims the second one onto Dante. Pulse bombs flying absolutely everywhere. It's a bit of a rave kicking off in this little side room of Gibraltar right now. Still, Movistar Riders are finding a pick here and there. Zephyr will fall out of the mech. Little baby D.Va going down. But still, this is ridiculous. A bit of a party kicking off here. Nobody really fighting around the cart too much. Cloud9 still getting the defense. And no real push time coming out from Movistar Riders there.
Ooh. They're now gonna have an opportunity to try and push in, but Cloud9's engage with Adam's sound barrier was pretty good to start them off. Really gave them a lot of room in the map, and that's kind of the most difficult battle. If Movistar Riders are in control of the high ground, it's difficult to actually get into the fight. But they use that support ultimate to engage, and then they have ground to work from, and they're playing this composition, just contesting all the time so well. Gods has fallen in the backline here. Rolf's just got his Transcendence up. They might use this just to stay alive. Surefour's fallen as well, though. Committing to this fight might be a bad idea for the next stage with both of your DPS heroes down. Movistar Riders going to reply with a Transcendence of their own, and the cart is still getting stalled.
Yeah, Cloud9 playing this phenomenally well. Getting the defense in, but it is going to be now the sound barrier used by Movistar Riders, trying to clinch this one out. Logic and Colsty putting in work. The Discord Orbs as well. Not being contested well enough, to be honest with you. Surefour going to be jumping onto the point, forced to use the recall up. Swoosh is very close to his own Dragon Blade. This should be the point going their way. It's a beautiful stall, though, by Cloud9, but not really enough to try and get it even further here.
And that fight started out with Gods getting picked off, going in as the Genji. It felt like Cloud9 gave a lot of room to Movistar Riders to just basically let them walk into the second point. And that's not how you should hold that point in general. You want to hold the tight chokes on the end of Movistar Riders as well. You want to lane the poke damage and not let them get to the card. But instead, Movistar Riders just getting a lot of free push, and Gods feeling the need to go in early, which resulted in him dying and basically in a 5 versus 6.
Movistar Riders have looked excellent on their attack. If this was the first time that we had seen a push on Gibraltar between these two teams, we'd say that they were doing excellently, but Cloud9 just set the bar so high.
Swoosh got what he was achieving there, forced out the sound barrier early from Cloud9, and they do not have a Transcendence to use as the next support ult. Movistar Riders taking this slowly as it stands. They jump onto the back lines, going to be using the self-destruct as well indoors. Not going to be finding the kills of it. Now it's going to be the Dragon Blade used by Gods as well. Pulse Bomb sticking into the back, not finding the picks they're looking for, but Cloud9 coming out on top regardless.
They managed to D-Mech Fincy with that Pulse Bomb, actually, which is exactly what they were going for. Cloud9 looking to engage here. Zephyr also D-Mech'd, but they're getting the better end of the fight either way. Gods again, we're getting pressure in the back line. Neptuno can hold his own for sure.
It's so difficult to try and kill the Lucio in those 1v1s. I feel for Gods. No, he's got
no, he is going to be able to escape. Finzy's made the switch over to the Zarya as well. They're assailing this final point.
Oh, immediately triple DPS coming out of Cloud9. Zephyr swapped to the Soldier immediately.
Both of these two teams
smart.
know exactly what they want to run in these compositions.
So smart. You can tell Cloud9 have done their research here. Logix gets the entry kill. That's going to be forcing them onto Adam. They bring him down as well. 2 kills going their way. Movistar Riders trying to push it forward. The point still being contested. Need to be focusing themselves onto the cart. Now we see Colsty using the Primal Rage into the back. Cloud9 need to get the move on right now to try and stop this cart in its tracks. They've got a bit of time to work with still. Playing around the point. Colsty moves forward, pops down the bubble. Damage mitigation just going to be body blocking it. Cart moving forward. Cloud9 need to make the move happen now. Post bomb used. It brings down Kaiser. Now it's going to be the Dragon Blade used by Swoosh, and the cart was not stopped in time. 2 minutes on the clock for Movistar Riders. An incredible match between these two teams.
Yeah, that's a really good push. 2 minutes on the clock. They're looking excellent on attack. The problem is that they gave Cloud9 a fantastic time. So maybe an opportunity just to reset here for Movistar Riders. Cloud9 probably aren't going to get the same opportunity again. And to be fair, they had the pieces together on the defense, but both of these two teams, the kind of dive style is so powerful on Gibraltar offense.
I did like to see the swap from Kaiser there to Reinhardt in the very last life he had. Basically, he just swapped to Reinhardt, and that's also a sort of reaction you can have to the Zarya pick, because the Zarya itself just gonna stand on the ground, doesn't have any high ground whatsoever. So you can sort of pick a Reinhardt and just basically counter the Zarya yourself with your big shield. Maybe it's something they can build on throughout the series if Finzi keeps picking the Zarya and force Cloud9 to 3 DPS.
Kaiser dancing. That is the Emperor's new groove.
Movistar Riders are going to start on the attack because they have less time in the bank, which means that Cloud9 still aren't quite sure what they're going to be running on the defense, because it was that kind of composition that set the tone for Gibraltar thus far. Cloud9, neither of these two teams going for really aggressive triple DPS defenses. Why do you think that is?
I think they're just comfortable punishing the enemy's mistakes rather than relying on their own dives and synchronization. I mean, Rogue, they're just so good because they're so synchronized and they just do everything so well together. I think Cloud9 specifically, not having played so much together, they're just more comfortable abusing your enemy's mistakes rather than relying on your own teamwork.
Movistar Riders have 2 minutes to push as far as they possibly can against Cloud9's 4. Logic's playing passive for now, moves into the back, and there's the initiation, the coordination. They bring down Rolf in a flurry of pain. Kills are going to get traded as well. Zephyr making his mark, but Logic is definitely there. Just one clips him down. Gods will be the next casualty. Starting to move forward with a bit of a pace on it. But opportunities abound here for Cloud9 to get the defense. And this is a bit of a dangerous situation because only 1:20 on the clock. It's going to be very close to getting into the overtime.
And this is very dangerous from Cloud9. Once again, they took an early engagement, sort of to stall out the card. But what this does in this final round, which is a lot shorter and will go into overtime, is that you're building the ultimates on the side of Movistar Riders. So they have to be careful and not to take too many fights here, just basically stalling the card, because that will lead to Movistar Riders eventually snowballing.
Swoosh taken down very early on, wasn't able to build up his ultimate too much there. Kolsi also has taken a huge amount of pressure. Logix is the guy, pulls bomb out, but doesn't quite get it.
Gods actually managed to get the deflect on that pulse bomb before it actually sticked onto Logic. That would have been sickening if he managed to pick that one up, but not quite. Cloud9 with the defense. Regardless, though, that was super dangerous there. And Dante's going to be a late death as well. 37 seconds remaining for Movistar Riders, and Cloud9 have built up the ults.
Yep, and this is going to be the very last fight. We're going to see a lot of ultimates coming up from Movistar Riders. They're probably going to play a bit slow at first, trying to build up all those ultimates. Probably Neptuno wants to reach the sound barrier before they engage. But this is going to be a very close fight indeed, with 5 ultimates on the side of Cloud9.
And Neptuno is pretty far away from that ult as well. Adams outpaced him in terms of his ultimate generation, both Zens with their ult, so they can buy a little bit of time for the Lucios to come online here, but the time is not really in Movistar's favor. 7 seconds remain, but they're going to be able to get some overtime here. Both Transcendences exchanged.
Yeah, absolutely moving in. It's going to be the self-destruct as well, moving into the back lines. Are they going to be able to find a kill? Sure for the pulse bomb. Now Gods using his own Dragon Blade. Both teams, overtime taken down. Nobody's on the car. They need to find their footing right now. Movistar Riders searching for an answer, desperately trying to get it into the first checkpoint, at least in the overtime. Moving around, Dante finding the kills, but it's Cloud9 with the spawning advantage right now. 4 players on the point. Bit of mitigation coming out from Finzi. He's got the defense matrix working, but he's going to get brought out the mech. He's the last survivor here for Movistar Riders. Overtime down. Logix manages to touch the point. A little bit of a glimmer of hope perhaps, but Kaiser's there with the Tesla cannon, putting in the damage. Logix will fall, and do they have anything else? No, they do not.
An absolutely crucial fight win from Cloud9 on the second fight there, on the first point. Because that led to Adam eventually outpacing Neptuno with the sound barrier, and that ultimate advantage led to the win there.
Yeah, and they had 2 minutes on the attack. Movistar Riders not able to take the first checkpoint, not what they were looking for. Their attack in regulation time in the first portion, when they were on offense in Gibraltar, was much better for them, but this time their 2-2-2 composition was not enough, and they need to pull something special out the bag here to be able to stop Cloud9, because right before the first checkpoint, 4 minutes on the clock, that's exactly the same as when you're playing Gibraltar for the first time normally. And it's very rare for triple DPS comms to be able to completely lock teams out in regulation time in Gibraltar. So it looks like they're going for the Sombra.
Quad DPS, solo support, Sombra pick here.
They're stealing your strats.
Well, they have to hold close, right? They're probably going to try to force 2 fights, and you can see Neptuno setting up with the Sombra here. He's going to hack the Mega right by the payload.
Yep.
And then on the second fight, he can basically hack the Mega inside the computer IT room, etc. So it's actually very good here if they want to take 2 fights, which they are.
Do you think this is perhaps predictable? Neptuno's been playing a huge amount of Sombra all tournament long, and they know that there's going to be something special coming out of the back here because they have so much time on the clock. But Sombra isn't very popular on Gibraltar, almost never used, in fact. So maybe
I think you can. Yeah, I think it's not predictable, but I think people have an idea, and it's easy to adjust in this situation.
Oh, the Tesla cannon instantly finding Neptuno. Ultimate not building as quickly, perhaps, as they would have liked. Widowmaker comment coming out from Cloud9, exactly the same as before when they were attacking. Zephyr was able to buy a lot of room, sight lines for his team. Movistar playing this one much more aggressively than they were.
Zephyr on the Widowmaker still, it works against the triple DPS, it makes sense. But they're going to struggle now because Neptuno has built up that EMP, providing he stays alive here. They could use it in the next fight. 95% on him. He's tangling his head to take the 1v1 against Surefour here. The SMG just spraying him down. EMP available, relocates forward. Searching for the kill. Again, remember, these health packs are hacked up. Surefour can't really be getting the heals he's looking for. And the aggressive hold by Movistar's working out for now. Still, Neptuno holding on to this EMP. Dante with the Kobe Bio Grenade, meanwhile, in the background, will find Zephyr as well. Trading equally. Nice little pre-fire there by Rolf as well, finding the kills, but still, the defense working out.
Yeah, it's very good positioning from Movistar Riders. They're not giving Zephyr any angles whatsoever, and Neptuno alone basically is just holding that side that Zephyr realistically would like to be in.
Yeah, EMP.
Used in the process. Quite going to be watching that fight just yet, but Logic with the Pulse Bomb will connect it onto Kaiser. That puts an end to the engagement almost immediately.
The EMP is going to be built up a little bit. I like the way that Neptuno was threatening to use it many times. He goes out with the EMP live, puts a bit of spam into people. Cloud9 at that point wondering whether or not that's the time that they want to engage, but Neptuno has used it now, so open a bit of a window for Cloud9. They've got both of their support ultimates going to be live in this fight. Zephyr switched over to Soldier 76 as well, but Surefour down. If they can find individual picks like this as well, take so much time off the board. Cloud9, half of their time has so far disappeared. And Rolf, he's forced out a Transcendence in the low ground. They're getting a little bit of value out of it so far, but Dante and Finzi have yet to contest. And in with a Nanovisor, absolutely ripping through them. Gods and Adam have fallen, but Dante in the back line catches a Helix Rocket. Things still even for both of these two teams in the fight below.
Have you ever noticed how sexy the Nanovisor sounds? It's like an absolute machine, isn't it? But
I think, in general, the soundscape in Overwatch is actually so satisfying.
Yeah.
I think they did an excellent job with that.
Crucially, Finzi got the pick onto Adam first there, which had the sound barrier up. I don't know if Cloud9 probably could have won that fight if Adam didn't die first and he got the sound barrier off. But then again, they had a swoosh blade as well up for it.
They have ults. Movistar Riders with a decent defense. Remember, Cloud9 had 4 minutes coming into this. Movistar Riders, this Neptuno pick has thrown them off tilt a little bit here. Neptuno working, he's about 20% to the EMP, not been built up in a moment's notice, and now here comes the ults. Cloud9 getting aggressive onto the back lines, working it out. Swoosh going to be used, but God brings him down. Oh my goodness, and Swoosh, the ult is not going to get refunded. This could be critical for them. Cloud9 moving forward. God's putting in work for his team. Finds the kill onto Logic's, rolling forward. Movistar Riders, where's the defense? Where's the attack? Neptuno falls, nobody on the cards, and Cloud9 will claim Gibraltar.
Oh, that last fight, absolutely crucial. Neptuno has his EMP live as well, and that Dragon Blade in the back. It looked like they didn't quite realize that Gods was there, pressuring their backline. He was in onto Dante. He's got no peel. They're not running the Lucio alongside him. They just have an Ana on the back lines. Don't know how Gods managed to get there, but that was fantastic.
Well, this is something we saw Swoosh doing a lot of yesterday. He basically counters the enemy's blade with his own blade, right? But Gods, I think maybe it looked like he could know that Swoosh was potentially peeling with his own blade, and Gods immediately just like, oh, here's Swoosh, I'm going to blade him down because he's about to use his blade onto me to counter it.
He had the sound barrier on him as well at the same time.
Yep.
When he was moving into the back line, so even if he managed to get 2 swipes off, wouldn't have been enough to kill him. I believe the bubble was there as well, which can do a decent amount of mitigation from the blades, but Cloud9, they're going to be winning that second map. Now it will be Movistar Riders' turn to pick. Remember, this is a best of 5. It's a lower bracket game between these two teams, Cloud9 and Movistar Riders. Loser going to be going home, playing their tournament lives on the line.
Absolute blistering pace coming out from Cloud9 in the beginning. And to be fair to them, Movistar Riders did a good job of trying to mitigate that, running the Sombra comp to begin. I think also proving the viability of that composition on Gibraltar.
Yeah, I'm very happy.
You were
about
right.
That. I was. Woo!
Is that something you're going to be running now?
Maybe we'll see about that.
Very secret.
Well, it threw Cloud9 off guard, you know.
It definitely did.
absolutely.
Yeah,
That
they
was
were able to
probably
get
what
3
made
minutes
it.
out of it.
Yeah, it was probably what made it be so close in the first place because Cloud9 it looked very impressive on Gibraltar there.
Even with Zephyr on the Widowmaker.
Yeah,
Pulling it out.
Well, he wasn't really contested, so you know it's like, wow, Zephyr is so good. He's an uncontested Widowmaker. Wow.
Still have to hit the shots.
Exactly.
Yeah, sure, but you know, my Widowmaker in ranked never do whatever he wants, you know.
How good is your Widowmaker?
I could probably be a good Widowmaker if I
All
got
right,
all the room in the world.
What's your accuracy
Okay.
with Widowmaker? Do you know?
Sorry?
What's your accuracy with Widowmaker?
The only
Oh.
stat that matters.
I mean, I just shoot at Winston's and I have like 90%.
Shoot at the shields. That's my
Yes,
that's
shoot
my
at the
strategy.
shields.
I've got a 20%
That's a
win
strat.
rate of Widowmaker. I pick it in ranked, my team instantly tilt. They're gone. They're out of it. The game's lost from that point on. But I'm like, no, guys, believe me, trust me. I'm saying it in the chat and they're like, no, come on. We've looked at your stats, 20% win rate. And I'm like, no, check the accuracy. But it's just me shooting at Reinhardt shields.
I'm just
Don't
in
tell
elo
them
hell.
that, though. Don't tell them
Elo
that.
hell.
What I want to ask you, Reinforce, is how do you feel about the certain compositions within Dive that kind of soft counter each other a little bit? So you have the triple DPS, you also have the Diva Winston kind of situation, and then you have ones that are more with
So
either
crazy.
a Zarya or like a three tank situation. How do you see these matching up against each other?
That's a pretty big question, Sergio.
It is.
Yes. No, but I think it's pretty easy because they pretty much. I don't know how to explain myself, but it's basically by you see the composition and you can pretty much counter it with one pick alone. Like for example, if you see a Zarya, you just go 3 DPS, right? But in this case, we saw that Movistar Riders are abusing the fact that Cloud9 aren't specifically, I'd say, the best 3 DPS team. So I don't know. When you play the game, you just see the composition the enemy runs, and you're sort of like, oh, they're running this type of composition. We can just throw up this pick and.
But you would
pretty much
say
solve it.
it's a little bit of a circle between triple DPS playing nicely into any kind of Zarya composition, but the Zarya composition playing nicely into the Diva Winston, and the Diva Winston
Yeah.
plays nicely into the triple DPS.
Yeah, exactly. That's it. Like Zarya kills Diva, Diva kills 3 DPS, Diva 3 DPS kills Zarya. So it's like you can just go in circles if you like, but most teams, or well, a lot of teams, they just like to specialize in one of those.
Yeah. Is it important then to be able to have really good execution in one of those compositions? How much does the versatility or the ability to counter actually matter in the moment in a match?
It depends on your individual skill of your lineup, right? I think that a team like Movistar Riders, I think they're very confident just playing off their compositions and countering the enemy team like they've done here. A team like Rogue, for example, I think they're just very satisfied, just like we're just gonna crush everything we face. You know, we don't care if you're on a Diva or a Zarya, we're just gonna play our game. They do run Nico and Diva quite a lot, but that's more about level design, I'd say, rather than the enemy, what they bring out.
They ran AKM on Diva yesterday as well for the first time that I've seen in a tournament setting at least.
Yes, and they even ran Sombra as well.
Yes, although it
Oasis.
didn't work any time that they ran it, I think.
Well,
ran
they
it in the group
only
stage
ran
as
it
well.
on University, right?
Yes, but they also ran it in the group stage and it didn't work out there either.
I didn't see
It
that.
seemed
yeah.
like super uncomfortable.
It
Was
seemed
that on
like it
Univer-
was less practiced, definitely.
Maybe, but at the same time, knowing the Rogue guys, I think that they picked up on the Sombra strat in Korea, and I think they practiced it to such a. I think they practiced it so much that they're very comfortable bringing it out. I don't think they're just going to bring it out because they think it's a good comp. I think they bring it out because they're very confident on the comp itself. So, I mean, I'm not going to doubt the Rogue guys on this.
Fair. Fair enough.
Fair.
Fair enough.
Fair enough.
Three Brits on the couch now.
Yeah.
Movistar Rider is very comfortable with the Sombra pick as well.
Yeah. For
This
sure.
this hero has slowly worked her way in to the meta
Yes.
Yeah.
a little bit after, but it's difficult to use in dive. I remember teams a while back saying, she'll never have a place in the dive meta. Very difficult to get value out of the EMP. She's kind of squishy as well. Doesn't really have a place, but definitely working her way in.
Kind of. It was kind of silly statement back then, right?
Yeah.
I think there was always a lot of potential with the Sombra. I just don't think people were quite sure how to run her because she doesn't have the best DPS, and you sort of, when people started learning that you have to abuse the health packs and you have to play her like a support. We've seen teams run double support Sombra, and that works of course as well if you play it right. But most of the time you see them Sombra ran on like Anubis defense second point because the health packs are so convenient.
Do you feel like there's a lot of potential still left in the hero in terms of where you could bring it out or what maps and this kind of thing?
No, I mean, you can probably force it on any point if you play a specific way. I think that the hero itself is sort of, I think Sombra has reached her peak unless teams want to innovate playstyles, basically, I'd say.
Speaking of Sombra, look at this next generation composition by
Here we go.
Cloud9 that they're trolling us with.
Oh, Cloud9.
This would be brilliant.
I love Kaiser's Reaper. It's what I love in the morning.
World-class Reaper. Movistar Riders, though, are definitely going to be running the Sombra in their composition.
Yeah, Neptuno is probably one of the most comfortable Sombra players in the game, I'd say.
Yeah, he
probably
seems-
him, Rascal, and
maybe
Boombox.
Yeah. Zebrasai enjoys running it for your team as well, right?
Yeah, we played a fair bit of Sombra.
That's
Just
a bit
because we think
unusual,
she's a
though.
very good hero.
Is it not? You usually go for your Lucio player to switch over to the Sombra. That seems to be the case of a lot of these teams.
Well, it depends, right? On this point specifically, we're gonna see Dante running on the Ana, and it's because Lucio has a hard time getting any kind of heal or speed boost onto this point. There's so much high ground. Basically, you can't help your front line or back line at the same time. So an Ana in that regard is better because you can just snipe through heals throughout the point. And you don't have to worry about moving. So
He's got to worry about the sight lines, though, because Zephyr is on the Widowmaker.
Yeah.
Well, here we are. It's going to be game number 3, Movistar Riders versus Cloud9 in the lower bracket, and Zephyr opens it up.
Wow.
Headshot onto Dante.
That's
Says,
huge.
"You're right, lads. Pop it in."
Crucially, Neptuno has to deal with him here because Colsey is so low. He probably has to play on the pack. Neptuno is also playing on the pack up there above the point too, actually. No one is contesting Zephyr at all, and this is so bad from Movistar Riders. They need someone badly to just
Look at this
shoot
damage.
this guy down.
Wow.
Ridiculous. He's just setting them up so much. Gods, he just, essentially Zephyr calls who's low. Gods just immediately switch strikes onto them, brings them down.
That was fantastic.
Is a really good push.
Fantastic execution from Cloud9, and the adaptation just simply wasn't there from them. They don't have a diva or anybody to try and contest the Widowmaker. Perhaps if Swoosh wanted to get up in his face, or Neptuno uses his translocator to get up there, but at least they're going to have the EMP for this fight.
I think it's kind of poorly played from Movistar Riders, though, that how you approach that first point. I mean, Dante got sniped off the start. You have to be prepared that there's a Widowmaker going to come up.
It's
on
very
the Anubis.
popular.
Yeah, it's very popular. So, I mean, you just have to play accordingly, play patient, and then you can let Neptuno deal with the Widowmaker alone, and then you can play your composition. It's very undisciplined play, I'd say, from Movistar Riders on that first point.
Trading a bit of damage here. Cloud9 still with the defense. Or with the attack, I should say.
Yeah, they didn't really, I mean, they took that one so quickly that they had no opportunity to snowball into B. I guess that was the silver lining of giving it up within the first 30 seconds or something. The bad point is that they now have almost 7 minutes when they started. 7 minutes to be able to contest point B. It seems almost inevitable, and with pulse bombs like that, they're going to be opening windows for themselves. Great sleep out from Dante, and the bionic grenade hits onto Gods, who was trying to come in there. Hacked as well. How was he able to escape there and pick up the kill onto Dante?
He's not going to get away with that. Yeah, Swoosh puts an end to him. Still going to be hacking at the half packs, and it will be the defense. So almost a half-hearted effort there by Cloud9. I guess they wanted to force out a few ultimates, but Neptuno used the EMP already up to 50%.
Do you know what? Cloud9, when they were playing actually against Misfits, had an excellent answer to the Sombra. It was so well executed when they came into Anubis B. They had Gods with Zephyr on the Zarya. They give him the nano boost. They were running a nano in that composition, although Rolf is currently on the Zen because he has his ultimate active as well. But they shoved the nano boost in super deep, gave him a bubble, shove forward the barrage on the other side, and they wiped Misfits really quickly.
It was lovely. It's lovely to see, actually. Well executed. Now they're moving in, though. Before starting our Transcendence, Swoosh using his Dragon Blade. 1-for-1 traded the ultimate. Not too bad, actually. And Logic's putting in work as well. That's going to force out the EMP now. Movistar Riders in a firm position, but Kaiser's on the point. Primal Rage going to be ending. Hacked up as well. He's in a sticky situation. Drops down the bubble. And it's going to fall regardless of that. So, again, decent defense. Cloud9 didn't manage to get a tick there. But it's so hard. It's a battle of attrition moving into this final checkpoint.
Yeah, I don't think, I mean, Adam invested that ultimate there just to get them in a position where they can build up everybody else's, I feel. Like, they're going for a full ultimate bank with this one. They want Zephyr to have the Graviton. They want Gods to be in a position where he can use that Nano Blade. Adam's going to generate his ultimate by the time everybody else does anyway, so why not buy a little bit of a skirmish for your team to be able to generate the ults? They've got a huge amount of time to work with.
Still going to be trying to find the kill. 0-4 brings down Swoosh. Pulse Bomb is used, as well as the EMP. They're forcing out a lot of ults here. 0-4 very weak. I thought that was Kaiser, but Colsey using the Primal Rage to find the kill onto 0-4 in the end. Uh-oh, God's in trouble.
He's been hacked up. He's been taken down. But again, Cloud9 are actually doing a good job at forcing out ultimates from Movistar Riders, and they're actually having to use a couple. Movistar Riders are not being able to win the fight just with a single ult, a single EMP, and be able to win. And that has reset the ultimate situation. Of course, all of these little plays just giving Cloud9 a bit more of an edge, and now they've gone to the composition that was so good against Misfits, breaking them open on Anubis B. This Nano Blade is going to be crucial by the time Rolf builds it up.
Yes, but the timing is sort of inconvenient, I'd say here. They have to build these ultimates up, and they already are down to 3.5 minutes left. Movistar Riders, they're going to have the EMP up and the Nanovisor as well. So it's bad timing, I'd say, for Cloud9 here.
Here we
They're
go.
gonna actually pull for ultimates.
We're going for it. Surefour used the power. Of course, doesn't get anything out with his own little Dragon Blade. Fincy going to be using the Nano Visor as well. Popping it off. Brings down Adam, but he's forced into the back lines. Movistar Riders with the defense. Finding the kills. You know, the initiation was there by Cloud9, but
I don't get that. I don't know why they invested the Dragon Blade and the
now-
Mirage to be able to take that. Maybe they were hoping for a one tick to be able to then generate up their ultimates and be able to go in, but they didn't have either support ultimate live, and now Surefour's made a switch.
I think pulling the Blade alone or the Barrage alone is fine, because you're basically forcing out the Nanovisor on the side of Movistar Riders. They are going to probably force out the EMP here before they start investing, but on the side of Cloud9, they're really starting to build up all their ultimates, and they're probably going to look to take this or the next fight to be the winning push for them.
They got the Graviton live as well. It's taken a while. Rolf now with the Nano Boost as well. If they can get Gods to build up a Blade, that's going to be absolutely pivotal. In this fight, they're trying to force out the EMP.
this is the one fight. They're almost got the ultimates online. Zephyr 5% away from that Graviton Surge. Now they're going to be initiating again. Bubble used into the back lines. Going to get hacked up as well. Neptuno still holding on to the EMP. Relocates himself away. Hacked up as well, so he can't actually pop off this Graviton Surge, even though he does have it. Kaiser using it in the background. That's going to force out. And good bait there. Using the soundbar. Cloud9. This is the fight to take for them. He was going to be coming out. Graviton Surge only connects onto one. And Neptuno does relocate away, but he gets caught into it. Surefour now mashing them. Fight for fight. Post bomb. Locked down. Brings down Neptuno. Zephyr going to be getting this Nano Boost as well. Only 30 energy on him, though. Not really finding the kills for him, but it is going to be a tick on the board for Cloud9 here. Still fighting this even further forward. Gods finding the picks. Moving in. This could be the fight they're trying to win. Are they going to be able to get the second tick, however? Neptuno relocates away. A good stagger for now. But Movistar Riders coming up. Do they have the players to defend this with? It's not going to be the case in Cloud9.
That was far better than I thought it would be coming into that fight from Cloud9. They managed to pull the pieces out of there. They used the Nano Boost onto Zephyr, and he didn't even have that much charge, but they still got value out of it. Movistar Riders kind of fell to pieces.
The soundbar by Adam. Baiting around the corner, the hack came out, but because they didn't have the line of sight onto Adam, he could get the soundbar off immediately afterwards, and they just rode the EMP out.
Yeah, saw an opportunity.
It was honestly wonderful. Great execution by Cloud9.
I think you want to play a bit more aggressive with the EMP, knowing that Cloud9 has so many ultimates up for themselves. You know that Cloud9 is going to just take this one fight. They probably only had one fight where they had all 5 or 6 ultimates up on the side of Cloud9. So I think you want to play a bit more aggressive, knowing that they have so many ultimates up, and not let Cloud9 set up in such a way that they have such a good way of winning that fight.
Normally teams, when they play Temple of Anubis B defense with EMP, and the enemy is approaching from the catacombs area towards the right-hand side, will go directly into it, translocate in, try and take it very aggressive, deny any ability to engage. But Movistar Riders were almost nowhere to be seen. They'd opened the door for Cloud9. Cloud9 approached from the left-hand side from their perspective, got onto the point, and there was almost no contestation from that area.
Well, they played a soldier, I believe, on Fincy, which leaves... you basically want to poke a lot more because you have a soldier and you don't have that much engaged potential. But in that scenario, I probably would have liked to see a Neptuno go a bit more aggressive with the Sombra, just because a bit of a surprise factor, and you can probably get that hack onto Adam, which is very crucial.
In terms of the execution here, it looks like Cloud9 are outpacing Movistar Riders. Both teams know what they want to run and how they want to approach the game. They have their style set and their game plan. But Cloud9 have just been slightly better at both recognizing the opportunities and executing well. Cloud9 at the moment on the defense, and they've got the Ana and the Pharah. This is interesting. Surefour's excellent at the point A Anubis defense with the Pharah. Just so beautiful at playing the sightlines, but they'll have to be...
He's
up
up
against Logix.
So double hit scan coming out for them. Dante as well with the Zenyatta Discord Orbs. He needs to be careful. Logix can be covering his exits as well with the grenade. Surefour hiding.
Oh!
Yes, doesn't realise Logix is mincemeat. Good night, sweet prince, and that is an opening for them. Surefour going to have that Discord Orb popped off to him. In a bit of trouble now. The disengage coming out from Movistar Riders, but it's too late. They just run them down. Kaiser with the Tesla cannon finding the picks here and there. Swoosh might get demeched as well. Dante's going to be trying to lay down the damage. He forgot where the door was for a second there, but God's putting in the work. And that is a good defense for now by Cloud9.
Two really crucial things there. First, that Logix doesn't see Shofor, obviously, and gets picked. The second was a long-range biotic grenade from Rolf that actually caught onto Kolsti and meant that even though he was getting the Harmony Orb on him, he was still taken down. And as soon as they pick the main tank, they lack any pressure or any ability to disengage with the shields. And Shofor again sat in the corner, seeing if somebody's going to cross his path.
For now, Logix. Again, playing that line of sight. Cloud9 are familiar with this and know how to attempt to play around it. Logix is searching for the headshot onto Kaiser. He's found an angle. Kaiser's very low, forced to pop the bubble early. He's leaping back, but Logix flicks him straight out the air, snipes him like a clay pigeon. And there we go. We're moving in. Fincy finds another frag. Surefour, though, if he's got anything to say about it, moves into the back lines, takes care of Logix himself. He just sneakily worked his way around the flank there for his team. Still defendable for now. Swoosh as well, putting in the work. Goes for the Swiss strike with the bio grenades. Now they're going to be using the nano boost onto Zephyr, I believe, trying to stall this point out, trying to take it as long as they possibly can. But Kolsti as well has this primal rage to work with, finding the kills. Look at that tracking.
What do you think of the nano boost target being the diva there in that situation being forced? Because he was demeched very quickly and then it's useless.
I think it's okay. I think you probably want to use the nano boost anyway. I mean, Rolf swapped to a Sombra here, so he probably just wanted to get rid of the ultimate.
Just a little bit of value.
Yeah, add a bit of survivability to the diva, a bit more stall.
This is
a good first point defense from Cloud9.
Yes, this is dangerous now for them though, because all of the ultimates basically are up for Movistar Riders, and they've got the massive pick potential of Logix here, moving from the Widowmaker over. Oh, look at that right click! That was absolutely filthy.
What is that? No way. Swoosh moves in, the Dragon Blade, swiping down at him before he can get off anything. Finds a second one. This is looking absolutely textbook so far. Now Gods wants to move in. Kai's going to be using his Primal Rage as well. They're finding the picks. Great defense by Cloud9 there, claiming the quad kill.
But as you said, Sacho, that was very dangerous. I think that if you're Rolf, you probably want to hang on to the nano boost and you don't want to swap off to Sombra so early, knowing that Movistar Riders has so many ultimates up for your side. You want to keep that nano boost just to prevent the snowball in this scenario.
That was a massive opening for them, and Cloud9. I think, there we go. Rolf not quite able to get back up there. But Cloud9 did an amazing job, actually, of being able to hold on, because Movistar had a fantastic initiation as well. That right-click onto Shofor removes him and any threat of the backline. Rolf doesn't have his EMP out live. He obviously does now, though. Going to be able to drop down, playing this one really aggressively. Drops into them. They're running the Ana, not the Zen. Slightly more difficult to pick up, though they do find the kill onto Dante. Movistar Riders don't look phased.
No, Cloud9 still trying to get this defense about. Movistar Riders moving in though, running him down. Fincy trying to dodge and juke, will not escape God's grasp. And they are finding the picks here and there. Still no tick on the board for Movistar Riders. It's a bit of a dry push there, trying to force out a few ultimates, and they've got them online.
That was a bit scary on the side of Cloud9 in a way, because Rolf, he used his EMP a bit prematurely, and he didn't get that many people in the hack itself. And you could see Movistar Riders moving in after that EMP, because they were trying to look for any kind of picks with the Roadhog. So a bit premature usage of the EMP, but he already has it up again.
Yeah,
why does it matter?
That's the power of Sombra.
Yep.
You're going to have this for pretty much every fight that happens. Movistar Riders with 4 minutes left. Cloud9 managed to execute with 1.5 minutes left on the clock. Rolf drops down, EMP live.
And immediately look at that, they're just giving up. Movistar Riders realize the fight is futile, and they will just let it slip into Cloud9's grasp again.
That's actually kind of tilting, because going into that fight, you're like, okay, they use the EMP, right? This is the fight we take. This is the fight we try to win. And you just go in and like, okay, they have another EMP. Like, okay, go out, boys.
But now
we can go.
This is the fight. Movistar Riders, though, they have to be fast. They have to use that tiny window of opportunity, and it really is tiny. It's like a letterbox that they're trying to crawl through, not a window. And Rolf already on 20%. He's going to be building that up. Might have it, in fact, for a later fight. But Movistar Riders need to use their ultimates, and they need to be fast about it. They're giving them time.
Yeah, still only 32%, so no EMP moving into the back. It's going to be the soundbar used by Movistar Riders. Dante using that bio grenade, keeps himself nice and healthy. Gods has to back off for now. Ultimate's also being used, though. Now Gods moving in with the Dragon Blade, trying to slice down. Dante works his magic onto him. Tries to basically get body blocked, but it doesn't work out for him. It's going to be the triple kill. The defense, once again, is there. Movistar Riders, this committal to the fight is bizarre in a way.
And overall, I'm just very impressed by Cloud9's positioning and their discipline in this regard, which I think Bishop has installed into them. I mean, Movistar Riders, they just ran into with their ultimates and they just try to get any picks with the Roadhog, etc. But Cloud9, they just waited it out. No one got picked on the side of Cloud9, and they just re-engaged.
Now they've made some switch-ups in their composition. They'd already invested Finzi and Logic's ults along with the sound barrier in that previous fight. Now they've swapped them over, so they're running a Zarya. They can get a deeper dive in, and they can also protect and peel for Dante if he gets attacked by Gods, who has been focusing almost exclusively on drums. They're going to engage now. Nanoblade in from Swoosh. He's been hacked a little bit, booped up in the air.
He can't find the targets, he can't even switch strike to them because he's been hacked up, and meanwhile the fight kicking off in the dark area. Switch strike down, puts in the damage, but is it going to be enough for them? Movistar Riders clinching this one out. They're finding picks here and there, but there's only 3 remaining. Surefour and Rolf popping off in the background, finding frags all over the place. Swoosh on 75, How has to back off. Cloud9 again, another stand, really just a solid defense.
And the key pick here from Kaiser is, again, the Reinhardt. And one has to wonder if it's to counter Finzi on the Zarya in this scenario. They're probably going to start building on that, what we saw on Gibraltar with Kaiser. Maybe trying to counter Finzi's Zarya with his own Reinhardt.
The game plan looks amazing here for Cloud9. They know what to react to in all times, and that's not just because of Bishop and having the game plan. You need a guy within the server to be able to call that out. You need a guy on the roster that's able to take charge and actually know when to implement those strategies. Adam seems to be doing an excellent, I mean, if it is Adam, it seems like he's taking on more of the responsibilities of the shot calling for them. It's been excellent so far for the North American team. And this fight as well, getting the early picks. God's able to apply so much pressure from the front, not even having to invest his Dragon Blade.
And it's so frustrating, right, for Movistar Riders, because they're basically trying to counter Cloud9's composition, but Cloud9 are just themselves countering Movistar Riders. So what the difference we saw with Cloud9's offense was that Cloud9, they played their own game. They built their own ultimates and they played off their own, what they had available. Movistar Riders, they're struggling to find something that works here, because every time they swap to something they believe in, then Cloud9 just counters it with their own heroes.
This is it, do or die time. Movistar Riders, 20 seconds on the clock. They need to make the movement, but Kaiser has built up that Earth Shatter across the board. The whole arsenal of ultimates here for Cloud9. They can definitely work their magic. Swoosh only has the Dragon Blade to work with. Movistar Riders desperately trying to build up their ultimates. Leading into this, very passive as well. Kaiser goes for the charge! He finds it onto Logics. That is godly. Moving in with the EMP. Overtime ticking down. Earth Shatter onto 2 of them. Gods is finishing them up as well with the Dragon Blade. And he's finding the pick. Swoosh will fall. Overtime down. And Cloud9 are going to be winning. You're so happy.
He loves it. Oh. Someone, I think, probably called that he was coming through the catacombs, and Kaiser is loving that one.
My boy.
That was fantastic.
That was the play of the series.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm biased. I'm a Rhino fan. I'm biased.
You're looking at that.
That's what I play for, right?
Yeah, wishing it was you.
He's
telling everybody he knows.
Hey, Bishop, you saw that.
Man, oh man. But Cloud9 with the defense. You mentioned earlier, Reinforce, that Movistar Riders weren't using their EVPs aggressively. Do you think that was the real clincher? Cloud9 were a lot more proactive in using their EMPs.
Well, as I said, right, they just let Cloud9 set up the fight how Cloud9 wanted to take the fight. Cloud9 had so many ultimates to their disposal, and in that scenario, then Movistar Riders, they have to play aggressive themselves to just force out a fight that Cloud9 isn't comfortable taking, you know. But they just didn't do that with the Sombra EMP, and I think that was their downfall.
But they were also not able to crack the defense in any sense. In Cloud9, they're still rotating their compositions, but in direct response to whatever Movistar Riders are running, and they look so comfortable on everything. I think they're the first team that we've seen in the West, possibly other than Envious, to be able to actually still have a huge amount of versatility, but have the execution to be able to, and the knowledge of when to bring it out, to be able to fully take advantage of the versatility on their roster.
Yeah, I agree. But at the same time, I'm sort of disappointed with Movistar Riders because they play the Roadhog, but I don't think they actually played the Roadhog to its full effect. They could have themselves gone through the caverns on the left-hand side and be more reactive or active, I'd say, in looking for picks with that Roadhog. But instead, they just felt like they just relied on ultimates too much and just couldn't play the heroes to their full extent.
Logix was finding picks though. He was doing work on the
doing work for sure, bro.
on the hog, but yeah, like you said, focusing too much emphasis on the ultimates to really push into the fights there. Moving into this, the next map, it's again best of 5. What is the next map in the pool?
Yeah.
It's on my head because it's changed up for the
It has.
best
It has
five.
changed up. You put me on the spot there. But it's 2-1 in the series as well, so it's crunch time here for Movistar
exactly,
Riders.
yeah.
How do you feel about their performance so far in terms of what you would expect from Movistar? Is this less than you were hoping?
I think I'm kind of satisfied. I was really happy to see how they played with the Zarya. I mean, they picked the Zarya. That was a nice strategic maneuver to force Cloud9 to play the free DPS. And I think that this was probably their game type to lose, or game mode to lose, given that Cloud9...
If you are going to lose any of them.
Yeah, so if you're going to lose any of them. But I think whatever the next mode is, I think that if Riders just keep doing what they're doing with the free DPS composition or with the Winston Diva compositions, I think that they're still in a very good position to win this series. And I don't think you can count them out.
When they were in the group stage, these two teams faced off against each other. It was 2-2. There's still plenty of time for it to go 2-2. Cloud9 have taken an early lead in the series. 2-1 lead for them. But if Movistar Riders can reply, they'll force it to a fifth and final map. This is the lower bracket, of course, as well. So whichever of these teams does not make it through this series is going to be sent home and will not face either Rogue or E United, who are still sitting happy in the upper bracket, having finished first in their respective groups and then won in the upper bracket round. Or Kaiser just getting out.
It's a gun show.
Yep. Have you actually seen Cloud9? Yeah, Cloud9 played Rogue.
I have. They're in
have I seen Cloud9 before?
Yep. They're just over there.
I'm very disappointed. This is some low-quality sense of humor. Very disappointed.
Were you expecting more from us?
Yep.
Have you been watching the tournament?
No, they did. They played against Rogue a lot online as well.
Yeah, but
they look
it's land.
so different.
It's different on land.
They definitely do. I mean, there is a big difference. You guys can attest to that.